We are weeks into ICE's deadly takeover of Minneapolis, and the Trump administration seems to be doing everything in its power to turn the temperature up even higher. The Washington Post is reporting the Pentagon has now ordered about 1,500 active duty soldiers to prepare for a possible deployment to Minnesota, citing defense officials. And now Minnesota officials say that they have ordered the National Guard to prepare for a possible mission in Minneapolis. And we should say there have been no orders for these troops to deploy yet. But this comes at a time of extreme tension in Minneapolis and increasing concerns that ICE agents are acting less like immigration enforcement and more like Donald Trump's own personal goon squad. Our colleague Zishan Alim wrote this opinion piece for MS.now, saying in part, quote, ICE isn't behaving like a normal arm of the federal law. Instead, it is increasingly acting like a secret police force or paramilitary on behalf of Donald Trump, as it uses surveillance and violence to enact a political agenda of domination. Now, through all of this, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem doesn't even seem to have a complete grasp of who exactly ICE is targeting. Watch.
Every single individual has committed a crime, but 70% of them have committed or have charges against them on violent crimes and crimes that they are charged with or have been convicted of that have come from other countries that are here illegally, first of all, and then they have committed a criminal act while they've been here or in their home countries as well.
Our reporting is that 47%, based on your agency's own numbers, 47% have criminal convictions against them. But let's talk about the other numbers.
You're wrong again. Absolutely. We'll get you the correct numbers so you can use them in the future.
Well, that's from your agency.
Joining us now, former Democratic congressman and good friend of the show, New York's Max Rose. He's a senior advisor at VoteVets. And with us is Nathan Jun. He's a political data and media analyst and author of the Nathan Jun Report on Substack. It's great to have both of you with us. Thank you so much for joining us, Nathan. This is your first time. You're a regular here. You might be a co-host one day. Who knows?
This is my dream, man.
Let's talk about that assessment from Zishan. Do you agree with him that the way ICE is operating now in Minneapolis, it really looks like it is operating as Donald Trump's own personal police force?
Yeah, what else would it look like? And look at this incredible increase in funding that it just went through over the course of the last year, when in that bill they ripped billions of dollars of healthcare money from Americans and put it into dramatically expanding ICE, all for the purpose of terrorizing communities just like this. And now it is being combined with threats of deployment of active duty military personnel. Let's remember what Secretary Hegseth has said that he wants the Department of Defense focused on: lethality. That's what he says all day long. Sounds like an idiot while he's doing it, but he says it. Well, then he engages in forever war here at home, L.A., Chicago, Minnesota, constantly talking about lethality. This is designed to scare the hell out of people, divide our communities, and bring us to the brink of where he can actually, Trump, declare the Insurrection Act. That's what this is all about, and it's beyond frightening.
So you served yourself. As we've been discussing, and as you alluded to, the president seems to be potentially preparing a couple of Army battalions to go to Minneapolis as well. What do you think the soldiers who are in those battalions would be thinking about their mission here? Like how would they be internalizing or interpreting what's going on?
Well, this is certainly not what they signed up for. But what I can hope and what I know is that we have the best trained military in the history of the world. And each and every one of those service members, some of whom would be leaving home to go do this deployment, some of whom would be leaving their base, whatever it might be, they're not out to do this mission. These are not people of bad morality. But they will be put in situations where each and every day, because of their commander-in-chief, they will be on the brink of sending our country into crisis, on the brink of completely dividing our communities, all for nothing. There's no threat in Minneapolis. There's no surging crime. Everything is a lie. And as a function of that, it is such a waste of their time, a waste of their resources, and it is putting potentially their lives at risk. It is tragic.
Nathan, at a time when people, I think polls are showing, the majority of Americans agree with you, Max, about
us being in a crisis position on the brink. What do you make of the fact that it seems like Democrats still haven't actually been able to get on a single message? As a team, we've been talking about the fact that you're starting to hear abolish again sometimes, other times it's reform. Cory Booker sort of threw out the concept of possibly retraining and giving additional support to people who are in ICE. What should the single unified opposition look like at this point?
I think it's funny and interesting when Cory Booker said retraining, as if we have this make-believe world where we actually believe that Kristi Noem is going to retrain these soldiers. I think, as we've all learned right now, ICE agents go through almost no training. We're getting reports now that they're being recruited without going through background checks, without drug checks. They're getting emails basically 6 days after they're applying saying you're in. And so I think we can put that aside. The unified message that I'm really seeing is one that just needs to be centered around the idea of looking at what is the purpose of ICE again, which they are meant to be immigration and customs enforcement. They're not meant to be private militia that is going into these cities and effectively, it's all just a reality show aspect. If you just look at it, it's all for show. A lot of people forget, and I think that Democrats need to remind their constituents that the number one reason why Republicans voted in the 2024 general election based off of exit polls was immigration, deportations, and Border Patrol. What we're seeing between this compound effort of the Somalian daycare in Minnesota, that's not disjointed from this, in my opinion. It all collectively
it's
just
part of the pretext.
It's part of the pretext. It's all part of creating really good reality television, I think, for his base. Donald Trump's numbers are in the low 40s right now, and they're potentially going to go into the upper 30s. This is the one thing that is keeping his base engaged, and I think that the common message needs to be across Democrats is we can't say defund ICE, because we all know, sitting in this room, like that requires congressional level approvals that are never going to happen in the current context of the makeup of our Congress. What we need to just say is this is all just for show. This is all just part of Donald Trump's trying to keep his base happy. And we just need to be unified because, again, this defund, abolish, retrain, we haven't been consistent on messaging over the course of the past year. You can't get even, Jeffries to agree on the same principles that Schumer is saying.
Yeah, I mean, we've had Democrats at this table this weekend using very different words.
Yeah. Sort of gesturing
dismantle. Okay, Max.
Welcome to being
What's your word, Max? I want yours.
So Democrats
reimagine.
It's basically communication strategy Mad Libs.
Right. Oh, don't be so hard on my friend.
You were talking about how this is an effort to create content for Donald Trump's base. And let's play some footage of Greg Bovino on the ground, and here's the kind of content being created. It's all in, there's a total emphasis for officers to be using their phones to create footage. You see the man himself at the top of it in his trench coat. He
out of the road
at different intervals. You can see him that he is, playing the part for content creation also. But the content creation can backfire very badly, just as when an officer shoots a woman in the head 3 times. So isn't the strategy of creating more content backfiring?
In my opinion, we have seen misinformation and lies being spread by Donald Trump himself on his Truth Social, where he's posting 300 times in one night. We see his administration just spreading misinformation as a means to just gain political leverage. What we all saw was not misinformation. We all saw multiple angles of a video of an ICE officer, in my opinion, utilizing excessive force in active duty. What you're seeing in terms of the content creation is, in a normal world, let's pretend we live in a normal world right now, even though we don't. In a normal world, a administration, if a federal agent shoots a woman, would say, we are observing the incident in Minneapolis. Our hearts go out to the families, regardless of what their political affiliations are, regardless of the circumstances. What we saw, which is why I think that Trump, Stephen Chung, that entire administration is excited about it, they immediately put out a release that said that she was a domestic terrorist, he was acting out of defense, and then they also called her a lesbian just to put the cherry on top. When I say that this entire kind of context is around a reality show and just making content, that's what I mean. But now we're no longer divided based off of values, and we're based off of morals and based off of what our political beliefs are. We're now divided based off of, we saw completely different things.
Yeah, we're living in very different worlds. And I think while some people see the images of Bovino and they're terrified or disgusted, I think others may see him as a hero. I mean, it's part of the reason sometimes when you see him there on the ground, he never has a mask on. He actually always wants you to know he is coming. But the people who are...
This shouldn't be hard to respond to. I mean, look at what Trump just did to USAID. Democrats can do the same thing to ICE.
Yeah.
So, let's not overcomplicate this, and let's also not fight the last war. Okay, this is not defunding the police. That's not what's going on here, okay? That was a horrible term, bad political policy, didn't get at the core of legacies of injustice. That is not about whether or not you agree with a domestic paramilitary force that serves absolutely no public safety purpose. So we shouldn't conflate the two.